On October 14, 1962, a single American spy plane flew high above the island of Cuba, its cameras capturing something that would bring the world within moments of nuclear annihilation. What the film revealed, when analysts unrolled it 2 days later, made grown men in Washington go pale. Missile sites, Soviet missile sites, just 90 miles from the coast of Florida. For 7 years, the United States and the Soviet Union had circled each other in a Cold War, fought with spies, propaganda, and proxy battles, never with bombs. But this was different. This wasn't a battle in some distant country. This was a nuclear dagger pointed directly at American cities, capable of striking Washington, D.C. in minutes, with almost no warning at all. President John F. Kennedy was informed on the morning of October 16th. He had campaigned as a leader who would stand firm against Soviet aggression, and now he faced the ultimate test of that promise, with the fate of millions resting on his next decision. Behind closed doors, a secret group of advisors, later known as XCOM, argued fiercely over what to do. Some wanted immediate airstrikes to destroy the missile sites before they became operational. Others warned that any attack could trigger the very war they were trying to prevent. Time was not on their side. Intelligence suggested the missiles could be armed and ready to launch within days. Meanwhile, in Moscow, Premier Khrushchev had gambled everything on secrecy. He believed the missiles could be installed before the Americans noticed, a bold move to protect Cuba's new communist government and to close the gap in nuclear power between the two superpowers. Now that gamble was exposed, and there was no clear way to back down without looking weak to the entire world. On October 22nd, Kennedy addressed the nation. In a tense, measured voice, he revealed the missiles to the American public for the first time and announced a naval blockade around Cuba, calling it a quarantine to avoid the more provocative language of war. Soviet ships loaded with additional weapons were already steaming toward the island. The question on every mind, would they turn back or would they try to break through? For the next several days, the world held its breath. Schools practiced duck and cover drills, families stockpiled food, military bases around the globe moved to their highest alert level short of war. Somewhere in the Atlantic, a Soviet submarine, cut off from communication and believing war may have already begun, came within a single vote of launching a nuclear torpedo. One officer's refusal to authorize the strike may have single-handedly prevented global catastrophe, a decision the world would not learn about for decades. On October 24th, the Soviet ships approached the blockade line. Every observer in the White House Situation Room waited for the moment of collision. Then, at the last possible instant, the ships slowed and turned back. Kennedy's Secretary of State would later describe the moment simply, "We're eyeball to eyeball, and I think the other fellow just blinked." But the crisis was far from over. The missiles already on the ground remained a threat, and construction on the launch sites continued at a frantic pace. Behind the scenes, secret back-channel negotiations began. Messages passed through Kennedy's brother, Attorney General Robert Kennedy, and the Soviet ambassador, searching for a way out that neither side could survive politically. Then, on October 27th, the crisis reached its most dangerous point. An American U-2 spy plane was shot down over Cuba, killing its pilot. Simultaneously, Kennedy received two conflicting messages from Khrushchev, one conciliatory, one hardline. Military commanders pressed for retaliation. Kennedy chose restraint, and in a move of extraordinary diplomatic calculation, responded only to the more moderate message, effectively ignoring the harsher one. The gamble worked. On October 28th, Khrushchev announced that the missiles would be dismantled and removed from Cuba. In exchange, Kennedy secretly agreed to remove American missiles from Turkey, a concession kept hidden from the public for years, allowing both leaders to save face. In just 13 days, the world had teetered on the edge of nuclear war and pulled back. What followed changed history. A direct hotline was established between Washington and Moscow so that leaders would never again be forced to negotiate the fate of humanity through delayed cables and public speeches. It was the closest the world has ever come to nuclear war, and the closest humanity has ever come to its own ending, brought back from the brink, not by weapons, but by restraint.
If you like the story, subscribe to Arizona Story.